How to Work on Yourself Inside to Outside by Jim Rohn. Our lives are greatly affected by what we know, since what we know determines the decisions we will make. Just as we are affected by what we know, we are also affected by how we feel. While philosophy deals essentially with the logical side of life, information and thinking habits attitude focuses primarily on the emotional issues that affect our existence. What we know determines our philosophy. How we feel about what we know determines our attitude. It is our emotional nature that governs most of our daily conduct in our personal and business worlds. It is the emotional aspect of our experiences that determines our behavior. How we each feel about life's events is a powerful force that can either freeze us in our tracks or inspire us to take immediate action on any given day. Like thoughts, emotions have the capacity to propel us toward future fortune or future disaster. The feelings we carry within us about people, our work, our homes, our finances, and about the world around us collectively form our attitude. With the right attitude, human beings can move mountains. With the wrong attitude, they can be crushed by the smallest grain of sand. Having the right attitude is an essential prerequisite for success and happiness. The right attitude is one of the fundamentals of the good life. That is why we must constantly examine our feelings about our role in the world and about our possibilities for achieving our dreams. The feelings that we have affect our prevailing attitude, and it is our prevailing attitude that ultimately determines the quality of our lives. Attitude is a major determining factor in how our lives turn out. Since everything in life affects everything else, we must make a careful study of everything and everyone that might be having the wrong effect on our current attitude. The past. Having a healthy and mature attitude about the past can make a major difference in anyone's life. One of the best ways to approach the past is to use it as a school, not as a weapon. We must not beat ourselves to death with past mistakes, faults, failures, and losses. The events of the past, both good and bad, are all part of the life experience. For some, the past may have been a harsh teacher. But we must remember to let the past educate us and bring the value of its experience into our lives. It is easy to allow the past to overwhelm us. But the good news is that it is also easy to allow the past to instruct us and to increase our value. Part of the miracle of our future lies in the past. Past lessons, past errors, past successes. The collective experiences of all that has happened to us can either be our master or our servant. That is why it is so important to gather up the lessons of the past and invest them in the future. If we can establish that kind of intelligent approach to the past, we can dramatically change the course of the next 12 months. Each of us will be somewhere in the next 12 months. The question we must ask ourselves is where. Developing a new philosophy about the past is the key to changing our current attitude. Until we have finally accepted the fact that there is nothing we can do to change the past, our feelings of regret and remorse and bitterness will prevent us from designing a better future with the opportunity that is before us today. How effectively we use the present is largely determined by our attitude toward the past. Until we amend our philosophy, we cannot repair our attitude. And if we cannot repair our attitude, our future is going to be filled with the same sense of regret and remorse and bitterness that currently has us by the throat. We cannot move forward into a brighter future until we have closed the door to the darkness of the past. The present. The current moment is where our better future begins. The past gave us a wealth of memories and experiences, and the present gives us a chance to use them wisely. The present brings us an opportunity to create an exciting future. But the promise of the future demands that we pay a price. In the present, the opportunity of the current moment must be embraced, or the rewards of the future will be withheld. Our goals and ambitions of the past are bringing to us present rewards. If our current rewards are small, then our past efforts were small. And if today's effort is small, the future reward will be small as well. Today brings to each of us 1,440 minutes, 86,400 ticks of the clock. Both the poor and the wealthy have the same 24 hours of opportunity. Time favors no one. Today merely says, "Here I am. What are you going to do with me?" How well we use each day is largely a function of attitude. With the right attitude, we can seize this day and make it a point of new beginning. Today does not care about yesterday's failures or tomorrow's regrets. It merely offers the same precious gift another 24 hours and hopes that we will use it wisely. The greatest opportunity today brings with it is the opportunity to begin the process of change. Today, the present is the moment when we can inaugurate our new voice coming into power. It can be a new change of mind, a new attitude adopted about who we are, what we want, and what we are going to do. Today can also be exactly like yesterday, and the day before, and the day before. It is all a question of attitude. The future. Our attitude about the future is also of great importance. In their classic, Lessons of History, Will and Ariel Durant wrote, "To endure what is, we must remember what was, and dream of things as they will one day be." Our attitude about the future depends on our ability to see the future. Each of us has the inherent ability to dream, design, and experience the future through the power of an imaginative inner eye. Whatever the mind has the capacity to imagine, it also has the ability to create. Just as the body instinctively knows how to perform the miracle of health, the mind instinctively knows how to perform the miracle of wealth. All things must be finished before they can be started. Everything in the world around us was finished in the mind of its creator before it was started. The houses we live in, the cars we drive, our clothing, our furnishings, all of these things began with an idea. Each idea was then studied, refined, and perfected, either mentally or on paper, before the first nail was driven or the first piece of cloth was cut. Long before the idea was converted into a physical reality, the mind had clearly envisioned the finished product. The human being designs his or her own future through much the same process. We begin with an idea about how the future will be. Over a period of time, we refine and perfect the vision. Before long, our every thought, decision, and activity are all working in harmony to bring into existence what we have mentally concluded about the future. This is why having the right attitude about both past and present circumstances is so important. When we have a healthy attitude about the past and constructive feelings about ourselves and our present opportunities, we subconsciously guide ourselves toward the achievement of our dreams. However, when we are filled with regrets about the past and concerns about the present, then we subconsciously lead ourselves toward a future that is very much Like the past, we have just left behind. The thoughts and feelings we allow ourselves to have today are crucial, for they are contributing to our future. What that future holds will simply be a mirror image of our current philosophy and attitude about life. Designing a better future. There is a very special emotional magic that takes place when we design the future and set new goals with a specific purpose in mind. As we see the future clearly in our mind's eye, we experience a level of excitement in anticipation of the day when all that we dream will become a reality. The more clearly we see the vision of the future, the more we are able to borrow from its inspiration. This borrowed inspiration finds its way into our conversations, our energy level, our relationships, and our attitude. The more excited we become by our future dreams, the easier it is to develop the necessary disciplines and make the refinements to our philosophy. In other words, our dreams inspire us to think and act and feel and become exactly the kind of person we must be to realize our dreams. If we are intelligent enough to invest our experiences of the past and wise enough to borrow the excitement and inspiration of the future by clearly seeing that future in the mind's eye, then past experiences and future excitement become today's servant. The finished product we foresee guides us in our present efforts, making the attainment of a better future an inevitable conclusion. We become pulled by the future and guided by the past because we have chosen to take intelligent action in the present. The unique ability we have for investing our past experiences and borrowing inspiration from the future is an incredible force. And the good news is anyone can do it. We all have the capacity for designing the future in advance so that when the new day arrives, it is more than it might have been simply because we used part of our past and our future to create it. The power of the future is an awesome force. What can be has the power to drive us to do all that we can do. The future always carries its own price tag. The promise of the future is not free. There is a price to be paid for any future reward. The price the future exacts from us involves discipline, labor, consistency, and a burning desire to make the future better than either the past or the present. Those are the price tags of progress, but the price gets easy when the promise becomes clear. When the end becomes attractive, we become keenly interested in the means. We must see and want the promise with an insatiable desire, or the price it requires will overcome our wishes, and we will fall back to where we once were. If we are sincere about wanting a better life, we must ask ourselves what we see in our future that is fueling our fires of confidence and excitement. How much of that future do we actually see and believe deep within our own souls that we will achieve? Is it clear enough in our minds and hearts to drive us out of bed each morning and keep us up late each night? Are we so locked in on the target we have selected that we can brush away any obstacle and disappointment in our desire to change ourselves and our current circumstances? Are we fully prepared to go over, under, around, and through whatever challenge life throws at us? We cannot move casually into a better future. We cannot casually pursue the goal we have set for ourselves. A goal that is casually pursued is not a goal. At best it is a wish, and wishes are little more than self-delusion. Wishes are an anesthetic to be used by the unambitious, a narcotic that dulls their awareness of their own desperate condition. It is possible to plan our future so carefully and so clearly that when the plan is complete, we can become so inspired by it, it will become our magnificent obsession. The challenge is to let this obsession fuel the fire that heats our talent and our skills to the boiling point so that we are propelled into a whole new future. As we become serious about designing the future in advance, we derive an immediate emotional benefit. The future is exciting. The more clearly we see the future and the more keenly we sense its promise, the more positive our attitude becomes that we can and will achieve our dreams. It is this new attitude that will provide us with renewed ambition for progress and the faith that we really can move mountains. We cannot succeed by ourselves. Everyone needs other people to help them in achieving their dreams. We all need each other. In the business world, we need each other's market and ideas. In the personal world, we need each other's inspiration and cooperation. The attitude of other people affects each of us, and the attitude of each of us has the capacity to affect all of us. The American Pledge of Allegiance, and its 31 words that we often repeat as an expression of our loyalty, begins with I and concludes with all. That is what America is all about. You and I work together to create greatness. We are uniquely influenced and affected by each other in our pursuit of the American dream. We become a powerful force when each of us understands how powerful all of us are, and when all of us understand how valuable each of us is. What can all of us do? The most incredible things. We can go to the moon and beyond. We can solve the mysteries of disease, diminish famine and suffering, enhance the number and quality of opportunities available for everyone, and create that which does not yet exist that will improve the conditions of all mankind. We can bring peace where there was once war, and friendship where animosity once prevailed. We can explore the heavens, examine the ocean depths, and investigate the unlimited creativity and capacity of the human mind. Nothing is beyond our imagination, and imagination is the starting point for all progress. The contribution of all of us is so important to each of us. All of us in the company, the church, the family, the community, and the classroom are intricately connected to each of us. Our attitude about that interconnection of each of us to all of us and all of us to each of us has great influence on our future. As John Donne once wrote, "No man is an island, entire of itself, every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main, any man's death diminishes me, because I am involved in mankind, and therefore never send to know for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee." Appreciating self-worth is the beginning of progress. What would happen if we all put our minds to work and read books, took classes, and discovered new ways to refine our philosophy? What would happen if we all developed a new attitude about the past, the present, and the future? What would happen if we all changed our feelings about one another and the importance of each individual to our collective destiny? If we did all that, just imagine what an incredible effect this would have on our future. The exciting thing is that each of us already has enough mental, spiritual, intellectual, and creative power to do all that we could ever dream of doing. Everyone has it. We just need to become more aware of all that we already have and spend more time refining all that we already are, and then put it to work for us. What stops us from recognizing our inherent gifts and talents is a poor attitude about ourselves. Why are we so quick to see the value in others and yet so reluctant to see it in ourselves? Why are we always ready to applaud someone else's accomplishment and yet so shy about recognizing our own? How we feel about ourselves is a matter of choice. How we see ourselves is a matter of choice, not circumstances. And the major determining factor in how we feel about ourselves lies in our personal philosophy. If we were to ask some people why they feel the way they do about certain issues, we would probably discover that the reason why they feel the way they do is because they really don't know a great deal about those issues. Lacking all of the information, they form conclusions based on the bits and pieces that have come their way. With their limited knowledge, they often make poor decisions about how things are. If they knew better, they would think better. In other words, they would reach better conclusions simply by increasing their knowledge. And here is another part of the equation: if they knew better, they would feel better. Why would they feel better? Because they would begin to make better decisions, and from those better decisions they would start making better choices, which would produce better results. Our attitude is shaped by decisions and choices we have made, based on the knowledge we have acquired. Imagine the artist who wants to paint a masterpiece, but who has only a few colors on his palette. He may have the desire to create a masterpiece, but he lacks the variety of colors which the painting of a true masterpiece requires. This is what happens to human beings with limited knowledge. They lack the mental colors with which to create a complete picture. If there is one area in the knowledge department where we cannot afford to be lacking, it is knowledge and awareness of our own uniqueness. We do not feel better about ourselves for the simple reason that we do not really know ourselves. For if we truly knew ourselves, our strengths, our abilities, our resources, our depth of feeling, our sense of humor, our unique accomplishments, we would never again doubt our ability to create a better future. Each of us is unique. There is no one else in the world quite like us. We are the only ones who can do the special things we do. And what we do is special. We may not win great awards or public acclaim for our deeds, but we make the world a better place because of them. We make our families stronger, our offices more efficient, and our community more prosperous because we are who we are. Changing how we feel about ourselves begins with developing a new philosophy about the value of each human being, ourselves included. Most of us are so busy living our lives that we never pause long enough to appreciate all that we do in a given day. We have no appreciation of ourselves simply because we have no awareness of ourselves. Self-knowledge is a critical part of the life puzzle. As we learn more about who we are, we begin to make better choices and decisions for ourselves and about ourselves. And as we have already suggested, as our choices improve, so do our results. And as our results improve, so does our attitude. How we feel is influenced by our associations. The people with whom we choose to associate are a major source of what we know and how we feel. There are three major questions, which those in search of a better life must constantly ask themselves. Question number 1: who am I around? It pays to take a survey once in a while of those people who touch our lives on a daily basis and to mentally weigh the effect these members of our inner circle might be having on us. What reputation do they have with those who are productive, knowledgeable, and respected? What is the level of their own past accomplishments? What is the depth of their knowledge? Do they understand the value and importance of attitude, goals, and personal development? How many books have they read in the past 90 days? How many classes or seminars have they attended to develop new skills or to refine their current abilities? How do they Look upon the value of virtues such as commitment, persistence, fairness, patience, and diligent activity. What is it about them that makes their advice, opinions, and counsel valuable? Hopefully, our inner circle does not consist of people whose strongest assets are an unlimited supply of jokes and a variety of distorted opinions. Those who can reach us and affect us on a daily basis should inspire us, not spread the seeds of doubt and dissent with their pessimism, complaining, and ridicule of others. Maintaining a positive attitude in the face of life's challenges is difficult enough without this kind of influence in our lives. Question number 2: what effect are they having? That's a legitimate question. Where do they have us going? How have they got us talking? What have they got us thinking, reading, and doing? What influence are they having on our ability to perform well and grow, and to feel good about what we are doing? Most important of all, what do they have us becoming? It is easy to let the wrong people slip into our lives. That is why we must take a close look at this circle of influence. We must frequently assure ourselves that the wrong voices of influence have not invaded our garden of opportunity, sowing seeds of negativity and doubt. Delicate as this subject may be, we have all probably accumulated a few close friends whose attitudes and habits are damaging to our chances for success and happiness. They may be nice people with the best intentions, but if their effect is wrong, then we may have to make some difficult choices. In an effort to protect ourselves from the wrong influences, we may be forced to walk away from people we have known for many years in order to develop more positive and motivating friendships. Question number 3: is that acceptable? Re-evaluating our associations can be a difficult issue. Progress is often painful, but so are the consequences of allowing other people to exercise undue influence upon us. Sometimes it is helpful to remember that it is not just our attitude that we are attempting to protect and nurture, but the future well-being of others as well. If we are strong, we can help others to change and to improve their lives. If we are not, then the influence of certain people can make our own progress difficult, if not impossible. In order to protect our better future, we must have the courage to disassociate whenever necessary. That may not be an easy choice, but it may be a necessary one. All of us become careless on occasion, and the wrong people, the wrong opportunity, or the wrong thoughts can find their way into our lives. The key is to learn to recognize the effect and to take the necessary steps to minimize or eliminate the source. Why take such drastic action? Because the negative influence is too powerful and too threatening. Never underestimate the power of influence. The reason why influence is so powerful is that it has the capacity to change us, and change can be difficult to reverse, particularly if it is changing for the worse. Like failure, influence is subtle. We would never allow someone to deliberately push us off the course we have set for ourselves. But if we are not careful, we might inadvertently permit someone to nudge us in the wrong direction a little each day. They may be so effective at these nudges that we don't even notice what is happening until it is too late and the damage is done. We might even think the person who is doing the nudging is a friend. A nudge here, a nudge there, and as time passes, we soon find ourselves looking around and saying, "What I'm doing here? This is not where I meant to be." We wind up spending weeks or months or even years merely trying to return to the course we had thought we were on before our nudging friend came by, subtly destroying our Future with the power of undue influence. Disassociation is not something to be treated lightly. It must be done carefully and thoughtfully. But if we are sincere about changing ourselves and designing a better future, we are obligated to distance ourselves from those who are having the wrong effect on us. The price of not doing it is simply too enormous. The value of limited association. Another option for protecting our attitude is limited association. We cannot avoid talking to coworkers or refuse to visit with certain relatives for the rest of our lives. But we can limit the time we actually spend with these people, and in so doing, limit their ability to influence us. There are some people with whom we can spend a few minutes, but not a few hours. There are some with whom we can spend a few hours, but not a few days. Not when the achievement of our dreams is at stake. Excessive influence is undue influence. We can sometimes avoid having to end a relationship with a friend whose negative influence is affecting us by carefully limiting the amount of time we spend with that individual. But we must be very careful even with limited association. Occasional influences are very subtle because they can have an accumulative effect that is difficult to see. We must always remember that failure is the slow and imperceptible accumulation of small errors in judgment repeated on a daily basis over a prolonged period of time. In our personal and business worlds, about 80% of the people with whom we associate, the vast majority, will account for only about 20% of the results we achieve. Conversely, about 20%, the clear minority, will produce 80% of the good results. And here is a strange but valuable insight to go along with that interesting fact: it is the 80% group who only produce 20% of the good results that will try to capture 80% of our time, while the 20% group who produce 80% of the good results will receive only 20% of our time. The challenge here should be clear. We should discipline ourselves to spend 80% of our time with the 20% who are helping us to produce 80% of the results, and 20% of our time with the 80% who are producing only 20% of the results. This is not an easy assignment. Often those in the larger group are masters at gaining access to those who are striving to do well. They have the capacity, if we are not careful, to steal away about 80% of our valuable time. If we allow it, they will be like the camel who pokes his nose under the tent. Left unchecked, the camel will slowly inch his way inside the tent, and we will soon find ourselves on the outside. Those who seek fortune and happiness must become aware of how the 80% group operates. Most are good people, but they are caught up in the search for the how-to of success and have not yet captured the importance of the why-to. They do not know that reasons come first and that answers come second. They have not yet discovered that when the human mind locks on to a personal obsession, it does not need a book of instructions or a training class on how to take advantage of opportunity. In this world of opportunity mixed with challenge, there are those who want to know so that they might see, and there are those who think they see even though they do not yet know. There are those in the great multitude whose attention to progress and personal development has been greatly neglected. If we were fortunate enough to have discovered gold and sought a few close friends with whom we wished to share our discovery, some would likely disappoint us. If we asked for their assistance and their labor in exchange for part of our fortune, some would find fault with the terms of the offer. Some would complain about the splinters from the cheap shovels and the blisters brought about by their labors. Some would complain about the distance between the comfort of their homes and the location of the gold mine. Some would complain about how bad the tax bite will be after all the work is done and how unfair it all is. Still, others would complain because someone else was getting more than their fair share. And others still would condemn us for showing favoritism to other friends. Personal growth is not always an easy matter, but the worst days experienced by those who give attention to the affairs of self-development are better than the best days of those who do not. We must not delay our commitment to finding our own personal gold mine in life simply because of the opinions of others, whom we deem to be worthy and deserving friends, but whose impact on our attitude and our self-confidence steals away too much of our spirit and dampens too much of our desire. We are obligated to limit or remove the undue influences of those who are having the wrong effect on us. Otherwise, we risk losing our own vision due to the pessimism of those who do not share our desire to experience more of the good life. The value of expanded association. Another choice we can make regarding our associations and their potential for impact on our feelings is expanded association. Very simply, this means finding people who have value and arranging our lives in order to be able to spend more time with them. Even a small amount of time can make a great deal of difference when it is spent with the right people who educate, encourage, inspire, and assist us in moving in the right direction. It is better to spend a little time with the right people than to spend a lot of time with the wrong people. By expanding our association to include more of the right people and closing the doors to exclude or limit more of the wrong people, we expose ourselves to new and better sources of influence. New and better sources of influence. Sources of new information and ideas that can have a dramatic impact on our attitude are within everyone's reach. The information that success requires can come from a variety of sources. The information is all around us if we will just begin the search. Even if we cannot get around the right people in person, we can always have access to them through their spoken words. There is a wealth of information and inspiration available to us all through audiocassette tapes. These tape programs give us new insights into goal setting, attitude development, time management, leadership skills, financial management, and a multitude of important subjects. By listening to these new voices of inspiration, as we drive to and from work, we find that new seeds of progress will enter our minds, causing us to think new and more constructive thoughts. The voices from the tapes will bring more good into the lives of those who listen than will the voices from the radio. In order to be effective, the tapes must be used repeatedly. Their messages must be listened to again and again to give these new voices time to influence us. Repetition is the mother of skill. Finding new voices to inspire us is not a matter of skill or luck, it is a question of attitude. It is the student who must seek out the teacher, for rarely does a good idea interrupt us. Success moves toward those who search for progress, not toward those who need or want its rewards. Attitude is everything. The process of human change begins within us. We all have tremendous potential. We all desire good results from our efforts. Most of us are willing to work hard and to pay the price that success and happiness demand. Each of us has the ability to put our unique human potential into action and to acquire the desired result. But the one thing that determines the level of our potential, which produces the intensity of Our activity, and that predicts the quality of the result we receive, is our attitude. Attitude determines how much of the future we are allowed to see. It decides the size of our dreams and influences our determination when we are faced with new challenges. No other person on earth has dominion over our attitude. People can affect our attitude by teaching us poor thinking habits or unintentionally misinforming us or providing us with negative sources of influence. But no one can control our attitude unless we voluntarily surrender that control. No one else makes us angry. We make ourselves angry when we surrender control of our attitude. What someone else may have done is irrelevant. We choose, not they. They merely put our attitude to a test. If we select a volatile attitude by becoming hostile, angry, jealous, or suspicious, then we have failed the test. If we condemn ourselves by believing that we are unworthy, then again, we have failed the test. If we care at all about ourselves, then we must accept full responsibility for our own feelings. We must learn to guard against those feelings that have the capacity to lead our attitude down the wrong path and to strengthen those feelings that can lead us confidently into a better future. If we want to receive the rewards the future holds in trust for us, then we must exercise the most important choice given to us as members of the human race by maintaining total dominion over our attitude. Our attitude is an asset, a treasure of great value, which must be protected accordingly. Beware of the vandals and thieves among us who would injure our positive attitude or seek to steal it away. Having the right attitude is one of the basics that success requires. The combination of a sound personal philosophy and a positive attitude about ourselves and the world around us gives us inner strength and a firm resolve that influences all other areas of our existence, including the third piece of the life puzzle that we will now examine.